I will tell her that we
You
do believe.
guys hear two screams of rage.
Oh, is it Tweedledee and Tweedledum?
And then you see a smirk on Zabilna's face as she turns to look in a direction and shakes her head and then turns her attention back to you. So, do you have anything you want to say to Zabilna?
Well, there's only two of them left now.
I was going to mention basically the current situation in the castle as we know it, but it seems you have already taken care of the remaining members of the Hourglass Coven.
She says yes. So, no, she tells you that they have fled, that they have plane shift to Gehenna, where they maintain a cramp. Like she tells you, they maintain a cramped tower guarded by Yugoloth mercenaries. She whispers to you that they don't think that she knows that the tower is there, but she does. She says, pay no mind to them. They're going to sit there. They're going to stew, and don't worry about it. I can take care of them at any point at my leisure.
Mrs. Fitzbiggen does not believe that, but it's not. It probably wouldn't be polite to point that out.
Probably not. The capricious and wrathful Fey Queen.
I'm just thinking, like, yeah, if you could handle these hags at any point, then you would not have been in this situation in the first place.
Right.
But
well, one of them's dead. They no longer have the power of a coven.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Not only is one of them dead, the one that's the hardest to kill is the one that's dead.
Yeah, imagine that.
And the other two don't have their flying machines.
She says in the I muted my microphone. He goes, as a reward for freeing my land and freeing me, she says, I offer you one free casting of a wish spell. Tell me, what is your heart's desire? Think about that, and then she turns. While I'm fixing things, please think about that. And she turns around, and she the cauldron turns from this iron monstrosity to golden. Turns from iron to gold, like the motif changing from skulls and like green smoke to, it's a much more beautiful object. And she throws something in, and there's a burst of energy, and all of the time stuck NPCs are freed.
That's good.
Hooray!
And this is where it would have been more fun if Pantaloons had been here to arrange those frozen pixies in.
You wouldn't have been able to. You actually can't move NPCs that are frozen. They
I
are
would have
stuck
hung stuff
fast.
on them, like spaghetti noodles, Christmas ornaments, shit like that.
You could have done that, yeah. But like it's a plot point that you can't mess with any living creatures. But and she slaps her hand, and then a bunch of children appear in front of her. They're in these protective rainbow bubbles, and she closes them down. The bubbles go away, and the children are sent back to where they came from. As she sends the lost children who were kidnapped by the Hourglass Coven, she tells you that she's ridding them of their unhappy memories here, and then and making sure that they're escorted back to their homes by her pixie courtiers.
It's beautiful, one of them.
Well, Canfall's adoptive mother is in Gehenna.
That's fair.
She tells you can keep any treasure other than her cauldron that you have found in the course of your adventures in her domain. And she looks over to the side to the now freed member of Valor's Call, and tells them to that they may continue their altercations with the League of Malevolence outside in the garden, and she slaps her hands together, and the members of Valor's Call disappear. And she looks at you and she says, "As for your reward," he goes, "May I make a suggestion?"
Well, certainly.
She goes, "I can tell," and she's just looking at you, "that you grew up having suffered terrible losses. Terrible losses that were caused by my own negligence, that have bent your life out of shape." He goes, "I can send you back where you can grow up without this influence." He goes, she tells you it's stretching her power a little bit, but she can do this for you.
You mean we would forget the lives we have led up to this point?
She's offering to remember how at the beginning of the story I told you that you kind of grew up like with a sense of loss, like little things would turn against you, and your luck was never quite as good as it should have been. It's like because of the thing that the hags took from you when you were children.
I think
Like
that the things that have, I think that those things would have shaped who I am now, and to do that would give that up.
Leonardo flips through his sketchbook of all the sketches that he's taken on this adventure, and then looks at Zybilna and says, "Absolutely not."
Is Leonardo's official stance that the adventure is the friends we made along the way?
It turns out,
Turns out that yeah,
well, it's not the friends; it's the art of the friends that he has made along the way.
She says, "Well, okay then. Let us have a banquet and discuss your reward." And that's where we'll call it quits.
okay.
As your characters, we'll leave it up to we'll leave it up to a later. We'll leave it up to just your imagination about what your characters have chosen
Oh,
as their adventure.
I actually know what Leonardo's is. It's frivolous. He would like to ask if he could paint a portrait of Zybilna and Titania. That's it.
Wait,
That's
you're
it.
going to use a wish spell.
No, it's totally frivolous. It's just that's his heart's desire is to capture the beauty of Titania and the world around her.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally his wish. It's the easiest thing he could ask for,
Yeah.
and it's right here.
Mrs. Fitzbiggen would decline the wish because her heart's desire is to leave the Feywild and never deal with it ever again.
Yeah.
And she
That
was
was
already going
actually
to do
also
that.
where I was going was like, I don't really need it. I would just ask if I could paint their portrait.
And that's the end of
Yeah.
the story. So, like, she was legitimately offering to send you back in time as children so that you would grow up. She was basically offering to send you back to your home plane as children back in time and slip golden tickets to the Witchlight Carnival when you went back so that you didn't go into the carnival without a ticket.
That would be effectively killing the people we are now. Because there's no guarantee that the people we would grow up into in that alternate reality would be better.
Exactly. That's what Belshan thought. That it's like we can't.
Remember, Zybilna is she's a fairy godmother. She
She doesn't understand why that's not appealing.
Right.
I mean, couldn't that potentially have undone all we did anyway?
No, because magic
That's fair.
and Feywild.
Oh my goodness, all these doors are locked. This is the worst.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
absolutely.
well,
Gorgeous.
So first off, I still have the. I never used the chime of opening. I figured that if the doors got too annoying, we'd start burning through charges of the chime of opening.
I forgot all about that, yeah.
I do have a thing to detect secret passages as well.
All right, I do want to take a couple of minutes. I know that we haven't taken a break and all that, but I figure we're really close to being done. This is going to be a pretty short session, so we could power on. I do want to take a minute to talk about this with you guys. So I think that it's a very strong adventure path overall. Like for chapter 1, there's only a few things that I honestly would change from how it's run in the book. Like for example, in chapter 1, I would do a session 0, I think, where the players are like level 0 commoner children. That way there's a bunch of stuff like in the lore, in the backstory that there's no real way for you to interact with as the adventure is apprenticed. So like there's three thieves running around stealing things from people who don't have tickets. And I think it's one of the little mini Bavlornas, the Lornlings that she was spawning during the fight with her. Pig the ghoul, which you did see, the little ghoul girl with the pig mask, and that elf wearing the mask, her shadow is the thief for Indolin Moongrave. The elf that was with the dandelion. Other than that, like adding that, I think the carnival went 100% as I expected it to, and I had lots of fun running it. I will say it was a bit of a challenge to have one player playing a character that was very intentionally not willing to engage in anything at the carnival without like outside peer pressure. But like the other three of you, I think leaning into that aspect of Mrs. Fitzbiggins really helped make it work really well, like just overall through there, and it was lots of fun. I also unironically love that I got to say custard damage. One reference that's academically interesting to Chapter 1, the thing is that the halfling bard that Turvum met, that directed him to the lake when he left the pie eating contest, is a Magic the Gathering planeswalker.
Yeah.
And she's
I
the
think
one
you
that bought
mentioned
the
that.
Yeah,
she's the one that bought the tickets for the characters, and she acts as a failsafe in case like the players mess up every other avenue into Prismere. Speaking of which, I actually added the way you guys used to get to Prismere. It didn't make sense to me that there's like all this information spread across the carnival for you to gather, but then you're just forced to steal the Watch or the Weathervane, right? So like I figured that if you were diligent enough, which you guys were, in gathering enough information to piece together what was happening, and then you confronted Witch and Light, like what are they going to do? Just they want the situation to be resolved, so why wouldn't they help you at that point?
I definitely thought we like investigated the shit out of that. Like
There is a
we
fun fact.
we had everything covered.
So there is a if I still have it, there is a puzzle on the Witchlight map. This map right here that spoils like the major reveal. The major reveal being that that they don't hide very well. That Zybilna is Igwil, the Witch Queen is Tasha.
Wait, what?
If you
Dude,
did you not get
spoilers.
that? Oh,
No, we got that in session 1.
right.
Yeah, you told us that, I think.
No, I didn't tell it to you. I mean, I didn't tell you
Somebody
Zybilna was
mentioned, yeah.
like Zybilna being. I mean, there's references to Tasha everywhere, right?
Yeah, obviously.
But like, if you look at these pictures, and I forget where you start, but like, you see all these little pictures, how they're pointing. If you take the first letter of each one of these pictures, and like, and go just follow the line, it spells Tasha. Or Natasha, I forget exactly. But
I will
it's
say
like a
that
spoiler.
the way that like a creature's true name is used in this adventure is explicitly in conflict with the way they describe how true names work in the wizard class they put out for OA that McDohl ended up playing. Was it the Onomancer?
Yeah.
Which I guess is fair because this book got published after that UA came out, and that UA, as far as I know, never got published anywhere. So maybe they
Yeah,
changed.
then that one never made it to print. Yeah.
Because by the rules they print under that, her true name would be Zybilna, not Natasha or whatever.
Right. So the story with her is that she was born, she's Baba Yaga's adopted daughter who called her Natasha. She went on to become an adventurer known as Tasha. She got real famous. She went to Earth, got in bed with a bunch of fiends, became known. She's basically Earth's like #1 war criminal, Igwilv, the Witch Queen, and like she got so in bed with. She made so many enemies as Igwilv that she used her magic to snatch a part of the Feywild for herself, forge a domain, and like is pretended to be a. She was pretending to be Zybilna for a while. The magic of the Feywild actually has turned her into a fairy queen. Like, that was unintentional on her part. And she, like, at this point in her life, they say that she's, like, her goals are to kind of explore this new page in her existence. Like, Zybilna is a very wrathful, spiteful, like fairy queen who has an incredible soft spot for children. She like will travel to other realms and like she's a fairy godmother to children.
Yeah.
But she's incredibly mean to adults unless they have done something for her. Which
I feel
is
like that Belshan's answer might piss her off then in that case.
she owes you guys a debt. So it's like at this point she offered the wish spell as part of the rules of her realm.
Yeah.
Is to have that stupid rabbit teleported to us so we could string him up by his scarf to a tree.
But
Turvum's wish is for that rabbit to be like imprisoned forever.
He wants a big bowl of rabbit soup.
Chapter 2, I think the meeting with the bandits at the bottom of the broken bridge and how you interact with Salt Talivar and Jingle Jangle went exactly how I expected. I'm not sure how I'm really bad at like pacing the Indian adventures. I tend to blow through stuff pretty quickly. So that went about the time you spent on that felt right to me, even if it probably was a bit truncated. Although Jingle Jangle is an excellent example of an amusing plot thing with Witchlight. So the flow of all of the story for all of the parts with the hag locations, like the cottage, that big stump, the theater, all of that, it assumes you're going to parlay with the hags, but they constantly throw giant red flags at the players that scream, "Do not bargain with the hags."
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
We
like,
sort of just knew that was a bad plan from the get-go.
I know, but like
They throw out the red flag to start with, and then we also have the situations where, you know, we have an NPC, where we have a player character who's very much like not, you know, wrapping us on our knuckles, never deal with the hags.
right, but like I think any like reasonable player would like take the hint because like
Yeah.
you see at least 3 individuals by the point that you go to meet with your first hag who basically dealing with hags bad idea.
I feel like we met 3 before we left the carnival.
But like, you know, it's constantly thrown in your face, but like the flow of all of the events in those adventures assumes you're going to deal with the hags, you know, and if you don't do that, things break apart. So I had to and that struck me like right away. It's like, okay, I got to restructure things a little bit. The fight with Agdon is something I'm mostly happy about. I think if it wasn't structured in a way where there was you know, no long-term consequences for losing, which that is true in the book. Like if you get knocked unconscious in that fight, you stabilize instantly. They take you to Bavlorna.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would probably go back and like maybe have some of the optional encounters to maybe get you some help for that fight, similar to kind of like what they set up in chapter 4 with the Briganox and the those other guys, where they come and intercede on your behalf and keep the minions busy. There's a thing where there's a note and an optional encounter where you come across those wells that are on the map, and all the wells on the map have friendly will-o-wisps in them. They're like the souls of dead fey creatures that died when Bavlorna flooded hither and turned it into a swamp. And like, you know, if you go up to them and tell them you're gonna defeat Bavlorna, they give you a boon, but you know, instead have them show up during the fight with Agdon, you know, to take out, where you just have to deal with Agdon while the NPCs deal with the other group. Because like Agdon by himself, I think would be a very difficult fight for a level 2 party. You know, like you throw the other 6 guys shooting at you with ranged weapons, and
it was a lot.
it's a lot.
I
What's
slept
funny
half
is
of them, and it was still impossible for us to like make any footing.
And what's funny is, you know, we gained the level and then we completely jobbed Bavlorna.
Yeah.
So,
Here's what I'm enjoying this.
What?
Overcoming the Jabberwock is one of the main challenges of this chapter, and indeed the whole adventure. Like, there's a big yellow box telling you, like,
Yep.
they can't. But it gives a couple. Here's how the players might do it: bait the Jabberwock into leaving the palace. Fucking slam dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or fight it with Snicker Snack. The Jabberwock actually is like impervious to damage unless you hit it with Snicker Snack.
Right. That's
I mean, obviously that's because of the. Yeah.
I actually expected that we were going to go the fighting route, because our track record for like plans and like execution of those plans always devolved into fighting because they fell apart. And so I was like, let's just go get the sword. Let's not deal with this.
Yeah.
And then everything came up Millhouse that fight, and
No,
like
I think
really
I think
did.
the opposite is
backup
true.
plan to like I had a backup plan to scare it out the. So if you'd gotten stuck, like we would have still been okay probably.
Probably. No, I feel we only fought the things that really gave us no other option. Like there was no other. Like Treble said with the hags. Like we're not going to deal with the hags. What's the alternative? Like it's going to come to fight.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we didn't, given the how fast we were having to go through the adventure due to the time crunch, we couldn't necessarily make choices as to, it's like, well, you know, I think I would have actually preferred to have a backup plan and go grab the sword if I knew that we had more potential time to finish the session.
Right.
Finish the adventure. But once...
So,
The only
When-
thing I cut out, like full cloth from the game, with partly because you guys, I had an abbreviated version ready for it in case you defeated Agdon, but like, you know, you end up in Bavlorna's cottage. But like I cut out there's like this whole like subplot in Downfall where like there's they're constantly like every week there's a new king because they're constantly having like coups, and it's amusing because they're like all incompetent frog people. Bavlorna herself is originally like, none of the hags are like outright hostile right out of the way. Like they want to talk to you, and they actually don't ask that too much onerous things from you. Like it can backfire, but like Bavlorna herself, like she asks you, she says, okay, before I'll deal with you, you have to do these favors for me. She asks you to fix her little pond that was dried up, which is blocked by a gelatinous cylinder.
yeah,
No,
checks
July
out.
the scoop.
And then like the other two are like, get her book of grudges back from the frogs and go get a package from her favors are designed to send you back into the village of Downfall to interact with the frogs in case you got Agdon into her cottage. And then she trades you for the lost items. Like she wants and the thing, she'll give you all of your lost items if you go to Scabatha's house and steal one of those pictures in the room. Remember the room with the pictures and the thorns?
Yeah.
She wants you to steal one of those pictures and bring it back. You got like 8 days, and if you don't do it fast enough, she curses you. And then she gives you your items, and you go on about your business.
Yeah, but
So
like,
there is an expectation to go between thither, and yon.
Yeah.
Like,
Those-
okay.
So because of that, the Guides of Prismere, which are, of course, references to Wizard of Oz, are supposed to be recurring NPCs that join your party and follow you around. I decided to not do that, so we wouldn't have to keep track of them.
probably for the best.
Yeah.
But like the 3 guides of Prismere like are supposed to go with you. Like they're part of your party.
And sing
And
while you travel.
basically, going into thither, my biggest peeve in that chapter is how inconsistent they are in regards to the rule on hurting children. So I ran it by the book this time, but I think one change I would make, which would make running that chapter so much harder, is maybe having Granny Nightshade, who, by the way, again, I mentioned this before, is a villain in Ghost of Saltmarsh, having to like bribe the children and like keep them happy and make them otherwise want to stay and work for her. Cradlefall, the baby dragon, by the way, is not affected by the rule on children for some reason, but I threw that in there because I thought he's a child and it should, and it would be a funny anticlimax. Like you get like beware of Cradlefall, and then like you attack him and he just gets sucked up into a bubble and disappears.
It was pretty funny.
Will of the
Yeah.
Feywild is not a child. I don't know if any of you kind of picked up on that. He's an Oni who used to work for Skabatha, which is again another reference to Saltmarsh, where in that adventure she has like a group of like 23 Oni that work for her. But Will of the Feywild was cursed by one of the other hags to undergo an alignment change to good, which is why he's helping the children. But him working for Skabatha is also why he knows how the dollhouse works. So
I'm so happy with that blunder in the dollhouse. Like, so I'm sure that everybody realized that Leonardo was a shit stirrer. Like, I had to investigate everything. I had to see everything. It's all beautiful. I had to find it all. And that was like my big, like, ooh, I really fucked this up. Hooray. I was very happy with that one.
Skabatha herself, what you're supposed to do is you're directed to go speak to Chucklehead, who will arrange a meeting, and then Skabatha will meet with you in that room and have tea in the room where you fought the Mimic Chairs. She just outright asks you, hey, you bring me Will, a unicorn horn, or go to Yon and sabotage one of the plays, and I'll give you your lost thing. But she only gives one thing per task. So you either have to bring her Will and sabotage if you need multiple. If you insult her while you're in the chairs, she snaps her fingers. They instantly adhere you to themselves because they're mimics, and then they beat you unconscious, and she throws you in that kitchen jail cell without your equipment. Normally, Will doesn't show up and grab the house, but I added that to kind of expedite the end of that chapter, and also, like, he totally would not have listened to you guys because he's an Oni, and he's an ancient Oni and not actually a child. And he is probably smarter and more competent than you.
Here's what I want to know.
Uh-huh.
Who are these D&D groups that are going to listen to these hags and do their errands?
I have no idea. You know what? Like, this is actually a pretty friendly for new players adventure, I would say.
Yeah.
And if you got somebody that doesn't have the baggage of, like, I know you don't deal with the hags, you know you don't deal with the hag, but that's metagame knowledge, right?
No, it's not. The adventure path keeps introducing characters that bargained with these hags and ended up cursed, and also all player characters have ended up cursed at the hands of these hags, these specific hags before. Like,
right. I know I'm there with you, but like maybe the only thing I can think of is maybe like new players. One other thing is you absolutely need either the horn or the unicorn it is attached to complete the adventure. Which is weird because if you rescue the unicorn from being a rocking horse, you then have to convince the unicorn to come with you. And if you fail, you just don't have the unicorn horn. And I felt that was kind of a bit like punitive. And I didn't want to like keep up with another NPC. So I just had him give you that crystal horn as a substitute. That's like a silly thing. Going into again, like the lily pad is like you guys having the lily pad was kind of funny because there's nothing stopping you from taking it. I'm not even sure why they parked it right in the front door of that dungeon.
We weren't aware of its significance then. I mean, Leonardo probably detected magic and was like, "Oh, it's magical." I'm like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, great. Carry
Put
on."
it in our pants.
Yeah.
Everything in chapter 4, Jan, went pretty well. I think we hit all the high notes. And again, the module assumes you're going to attempt to at least interact with the hag non-threateningly when you first enter her castle, and then like gain her favor by performing in a play, so she'll deal with you. And they kind of forced you into this in that one by making it where you cannot sneak into her castle. You cannot. She knows when you are going to enter the main floor. So like you can, where you guys came in, she doesn't know you're down there, but she knows that you're going to enter the main floor because she can see into the future.
So,
like, she knows you're there. There, like that is in the book. She knows when that you're coming.
question though. So when we entered the stage floor, she was standing right there.
Right.
Was that due to she knows that any moment now, or was that the ruckus we made downstairs?
No.
Because
The first.
when somebody said, "Hey, how far away can you hear that lightning?" and then later on you're like,
300
"What's
feet.
her name is 250 feet up in the air," and I'm like, "Nope, absolutely plausible." I was about to fight that point. I would die on that hill.
If you do poorly in the play, or don't perform, she just kicks you out of the castle.
How did we do in
Right.
the play?
Poorly.
Atrociously.
Oh, 0 out of 10. We didn't even try.
She like so basically
We
you
didn't have
guys she gets on her ornithopter flying and she heckles the actors, and then she'll come in at the climax of a thing, steal the show. That's like written in the book, and like you guys attacked her when she came down, so that's what started the fight. But like if you do poorly and don't impress her, she just kicks you out of her castle. And then like if you try to fight her and lose, she strips you naked and throws you in jail. She asks for your shadow, the unicorn horn, or to go back to a hither, go into Bavlorna's cottage and get her cat, which was taxidermied.
Ooh.
So even if you decide to run errands for these hags, it's going to put you all like on the crap list with the other two hags.
Right. For chapter 5, like the actual castle, I did make that mistake early on. You aren't supposed to be able to free people from time stasis without their true name, but I just kind of like reskinned that to be, it's just in the castle because it's too close to the epicenter.
Yeah.
This leads to one of my gripes to this chapter, though. It's a mess. Information is scattered absolutely everywhere, and it's hard to reference, and the dungeon is awful. You guys, I did not change anything. You did everything in the dungeon.
We visited like 4 rooms.
Yeah, so most of the rooms are just empty.
No, there is. Okay, so a cursory glance at this dungeon. Let me bring it back up. So a cursory glance at this dungeon. It looks fine, right? It looks perfectly okay.
We did take the most direct route, like by far.
Right. So
Like all these
it looks-
spaces and stuff.
it looks perfectly fine looking at it. So this front door, dead end. It goes nowhere.
Yeah.
So a cursor glance at it looks fine. However, the crown lock stuff goes nowhere required to finish the dungeon. I think they probably do this because you can permanently lock yourself out of being able to open those doors by like solving the riddle. But the front entrance goes nowhere, and the critical path up is on a side door where you speak to 2 NPCs who give you all the information you need to finish the thing, and then you go up in the hall, like, Bloodybeak's here, the boss is here, Zabilna's here, you don't have to interact with any of these mofos whatsoever. I mean, freeing Zabilna ends the adventure. That's the end of the adventure. Because she kicks everybody out of her castle. So engaging with all the challenges and puzzles in this dungeon are an irrelevant waste of time. It's full of these whimsical rooms and these puzzles and interesting backstory, but they're hidden behind that locking system and not required to finish the adventure.
How do you even get into the right here. Okay. Can you put the second floor map on the screen?
I was looking at
Sure.
the second floor map just now.
Yeah. Because when I saw you're like, the front door is useless, so I was like, oh, well, you can go through here and then up these stairs. But then, like, what does that even get you?
There you go.
Wow, not much, huh?
Not a
So,
whole
like-
heck of a lot.
So like that front door, right?
Wow, okay.
It's a
yeah.
hall right here. It leads on
Yeah.
this door here and this door here. That's all it gets you. These 2 balconies. That's it.
Mhm.
Or you can also get up to these locations, and that's it, though.
No, you can't. Those are
Aren't-
that's stairs from downstairs.
Right, but I thought that this was connected to that.
No.
Are you sure?
Oh, you're right. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's totally worthless. I can't believe we went to this. I went up here thinking like, oh, maybe there's a library. No, it's the frog who tells us the solution. Oh,
the main,
okay.
Yeah.
The main entrance
That was
is
nice.
through a side door. Like the main entrance to this castle is through a side door. And before, I was complaining this, so he's like, "Oh, it's just wacky Fey," and I'm like, "No, the front door doesn't go anywhere. The design of this castle makes Zybilna look stupid." Like, okay, compare it to Castle Ravenloft, right? Which I think is what universally considered to be one of like the best like individual dungeons in 5th edition.
I've
Pretty high up there.
You've apparently never tried to run it.
Well, Castle Ravenloft looks.
It's pretty
like a-
fucking bonkers.
I don't
Castle
know,
Ravenloft looks like a functional castle where Strahd lives and entertains guests.
I think this looks functional, but it doesn't make for a good dungeon.
I don't think this is
Like-
supposed to be functional. It's in the Feywild.
Yeah.
This place it was made by some kind. It looks like it was made by a random dungeon generator.
I don't.
Like,
I don't. I'm not that critical of it.
I mean,
This looks like this palace strikes me as like a kind of tamer version of Baba Yaga's hut.
A little
Kind
bit,
of.
yeah.
Which there's
But, like-
4 rooms that matter, and the rest is just whimsical nonsense.
but like you don't even have like in Baba Yaga's hut. Don't you have to go through a lot of those whimsical rooms?
Yes and no. You have to clear rooms to learn how the dungeon works, but once you know how the dungeon works, you can go wherever you want. Theoretically, if you walk in the dungeon with that knowledge, you can go right to the end and solve the adventure.
Like
Pretty
a
much
lot of the
easily.
locations of these.
We've run two Baba Yaga huts at this table, and I think in both of them it was a matter of us figuring out how everything worked, like you said, and then once we gained a mastery of that, we made our progress fairly well.
I still really hate this key concept. Like,
So the way it works is like you can either go through the stag doors or the lion doors, but never both, and you can't
Right.
switch once you've chosen one. Is that all correct?
You can
well,
switch.
you have to go back outside and
You go
move
back
the
outside. You
crown.
get the crown. They give you the crown. You put it on the other one.
No, I would.
Or
be
you
casting
go to-
knock.
That would work as well. Or you go to this room right here, and
Yeah, where's the
there's a
book?
book. There's a book in
There
this
it is,
room, which
okay.
is on this central thing right here.
So is the chime of opening something that is included in the
It just
adventure?
casts
or-
knock. No, it just casts. It's not mentioned anywhere. They just give it to you, and it casts knock. Which I'm assuming it's there in case you botch the
puzzle.
the
right.
puzzle, and so you can get into some of these rooms. But like,
If I was DMing this, my players would be like, "Oh, we can't open the door. Okay, everybody go back and flip the switch." Okay, and so we just hand wave that every time.
Right.
It's like, well, why
So-
bother? Just not have the doors. Nobody has the fun with
I
that.
mean, the thing that blows my mind the most is her main entrance doesn't go anywhere. Right. So
Yeah,
like,
it is really strange.
but like the other thing that blows my mind is this dungeon is just full, absolutely full to references and like there's puzzles. There's like just Tasha themed puzzles everywhere. Zybilna's in hiding.
She's bad at it though.
She is so bad at it. In her bedroom, in on the second floor, it's one of these rooms over here. In her bedroom, there are 2 succubuses looking for proof that Zybilna is Igwilf, so they can take that knowledge back to the Nine Helps, so that to her boss, so that they could, like, because right now Zybilna, there's no proof that Zybilna and like the Prince of Hell doesn't want to move against her because she's powerful, Fey princess or Fey queen. Don't want to move against her. Don't want to make her a villain, an enemy, unless it actually is Igwilf. They are apparently absolutely awful at looking because the
She's
name
right there in
Igwilv,
plain sight.
Tasha, and Igwilv's name and Igwilv and Tasha are everywhere in this dungeon, like every other room. You literally have to say Baba Yaga to open one of the doors.
Treble, it's gonna be okay, buddy.
Also, the fight with the Jabberwock is kind of meh. It's like either going to destroy you, or you're going to destroy it. Like assuming you have the Snicker Snack, it's like the entire CR of that monster is it's very weak physically. The entire CR of that monster comes from the fact that it can just constantly make you skip your turns, which is incredibly unfun to play against. So like you, every time you're within 30 feet of it, you have to make a DC 18 Constitution saving throw, or basically suffer the effects of a confusion spell.
Confusion is like what 1 or 2 and 8 that you pass your turn. Because you roll a d8 and it's off a table or something.
It's off a d10, and I think it's like 10 lets you.
It's like
accidentally-
so what it does is if you fail your stuff, let's see,
you roll a d10.
you
and
roll a
then-
1 or a 2, you do nothing. You roll a 3, you roll a d4 during this. You roll a
So
You
there's
either
not a
do-
clause in the Jabberwock stat block that if you pass the save, you're immune to it for 24 hours?
no.
That's
Just
Wow.
every turn. Every turn.
Wow.
So
Would you
you
like
either
to know, related to confusion, I've been in a campaign where a player was cursed by that effect of confusion every time they took damage, and the party was level 1. And the player that was cursed with that was me.
so
So I'm not a fan of confusion. We'll just say
you,
that.
you roll a d4, and on a 1 or a 2, you just do nothing that turn. On a
Yeah.
3, you are not allowed to do anything but move in a random direction. You have to use all of your movement to run in a random direction. If you roll a 4, you have to make 1 melee attack against a random creature you can see. And if you can't attack anything, you just do nothing.
That's
It
even
has
worse than
legend-
the confusion spell.
Right. It has legendary resistance, and then legendary actions as well. But the legendary actions are all like melee attacks. Like you can make 1 tail attack, or it can make 1 rend attack, or it can make a wing attack that knocks people prone. And of course, he's got the laser eyes. But like the confusion aura is the big thing. It's like just makes it not fun.
I don't know. I think
'Cause-
confusion's awesome. I have no compunction using confusion type effects against players, as you
Well, the
well
thing
know.
When you're
is-
level 8, it's fine. But when you're level 1, no.
It's immune to all. You can't hurt it unless you hit it with a Vorpal weapon.
I mean, that's fine though. That's part of the adventure.
Part of the module,
It's
yeah.
part of the MacGuffin.
The biggest thing is like, I mean, let's say Mrs. Fitzbiggins had gotten confused, okay,
Right.
and we wake Zybilna. Would the adventure have still ended, or
Probably.
So
Like-
that was actually an idea. I was going to use the pixie powder to fly over to Zvilna, tap her, and say Natasha, and then hope for the best.
So that's another thing that I would probably change. I would probably make it like take like a minute of concentration to do that. Like you just tap it, say the name, and it's done. Like
Yeah.
that's another like you just lure the Jabberwock slightly away and then do it, and boom.
Brickroad, have you finished Descent into Avernus?
No.
Okay, then I won't say anything.
But yeah, no.
Another question. Way at the beginning of the game, you gave us just random items, and one of those items was like a trinket that caused a boon.
Yeah.
I never found out what that did. I don't think.
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to tell me what it is.
I don't think I have it on my character sheet anymore because I gave it to somebody or deleted it.
Oh, the Feywild Trinkets are just a form of currency when you're dealing with the denizens of the Feywild.
Oh, okay.
So like they're kind
checks
of
out.
presented as that. They're just trinkets like you would get, but like the Feywild trinkets in specific you can use as gifts or like if you're dealing with the NPCs. We didn't do a whole lot of that
Yeah.
because of time constraints.
Well,
but
yeah, we
that's-
abstracted all that away.
And
like-
then of course
There was
there's the-
obviously treasure and stuff, but like nobody cared about it.
right. So yeah, there's nowhere to spend any of the money. There's lots of treasure, like lots of expensive stuff in this adventure. Nowhere to spend any of it.
That's what I was going to ask. Is like how heavily like is there an economy? Like
The economy in this literally runs on Feywild Trinkets. I'm not even joking. Like
I don't even know what the value of that Eldritch staff we hurled off. I mean, who cares, right? It's not useful to me.
that
Woo.
was a very
Goodbye.
rare magic item.
Yeah, which is like I want to say 50,000 or something.
It's gone now.
Eldritch
No,
staff.
Leonardo does not care at all. He used his wish to paint people.
Some friggin' bullywug's gonna find it.
Pick up the villain of someone else's campaign in the future.
So like the plot was the three hags were jealous of Zabilda, who is Baba Yaga's favorite daughter. They're all daughters of Baba Yaga.
Well, yeah.
But like they think they resent her for being the favorite. She knew that they didn't like her, but she was kind of, arrogant, thinking that
about it.
yeah. And they snuck up. They teamed up with the League of Malevolence, who wanted to get the leader of the League of Malevolence wanted to defeat his ultimate adversary, Ringelrun, who is the wizard in that like room at the round table, and take his staff of power. And so they teamed up to freeze him in time. And like the League of Malevolence, what they wanted to do is they wanted the Unicorn Horn to just unfreeze Ringelrun, kill him, take the staff, and then they were going to peace out. They didn't want anything else. And that was the plot. Like the League of Malevolence dudes are they're Saturday morning cartoon villains.
Yeah.
Oh, they're incompetent. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think they're literally like not villains out of the cartoon, because that was Tiamat and Venger.
Yeah, they're not from the cartoon, but they're based on characters from a toy line in the 1980s. So
yeah,
if
there had been more Dungeons and Dragons related material in the 80s, then absolutely they would have been villains in the in a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, I definitely got a Natasha and Boris feel from the two that we encountered.
So like all of the League of Malevolence and then the other team, Valor's Calls, they're all action figures. There's a
Thaco the Clown is literally just a nod to second
Thaco.
edition Thaco.
To Thaco, yeah. There's one like thing that I learned on the one reference on the Witchlight map that I'm going to
The Carnival Map.
yeah, it's down here. This little so this right here, that's apparently the
Oh no, that's absolutely the fucking ride where they started, where they transported them into the into the D&D world.
Yeah.
In the cartoon, yeah.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Leonardo really wanted to go on this ride until you told
I did too.
the player what happened.
Yeah,
Then I
so
was
if you
very glad
ride
you
that,
didn't
you
go
have
on
to
that.
make a wisdom saving throw or be cursed to not be able to get a full night's sleep. And you just accrue levels of exhaustion until somebody cures the thing. So like you just die.
Right? Like
Oh, that's brutal.
yeah,
For
what is
low-level
Leonardo's
characters?
wisdom
Yeah.
save? Oh, -1. Oh no, he's proficient in wisdom, so it's +3. But yeah. No, I would never have made that save ever.
A lot of the characters are actually named out of designers for 5th edition. Like random stuff. On one of the maps, one of the people snuck a picture of their pug, which it's the... I don't have it saved, so I can't show it to you, but there's a map of the entire domain of Prismere. Brickroad's got the book in front of him. There's a pug in the corner. It's one of the main designer's dog. Little...
That's adorable.
That's
the
very
three
adorable.
those three skulls that you flew over are named Wei, Tay, and Peg, which are the magic. It's another Wizard of Oz reference. It's used to activate the Powder of Life in those books. To bring that they used to bring the Jack Pumpkinhead to life in the second book, I think.
I don't think we ever did anything with the snail racing.
Nope. There's a snail there named Shelly Moo.
Of course there is.
And we
I think
didn't feed a
if Brickroad
snail
had run
for
this, he would have.
rabbits.
If Brickroad were running this, he would have absolutely made the Soul Blazer reference there.
There's a lot of repeated imagery of hearts and lions in this, which is a reference to the story that inspired the original alignment system, which is called Three Hearts and Three Lions.
Yeah.
So, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of references to other D&D stuff.
D&D is for nerds.
It is. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about before we end this?
Yeah, best NPC, Burley. He's so cute.
The worst
Listen,
NPC is that butler. That butler was insufferable.
Yeah, that
I hated
butler
that
was.
guy. I looked him up in the book, and yeah, Treble was running him correctly. He just sucks.
Well, the butler, he won't speak with you. I'm like, well, you're supposed to go out into the room with the where the giant is eating, that it's a Formian. You have to go in there, placate them, and then you go out on the balcony, and there's something out there that you can do to win the trust of the butler.
I like that I went back to well, wait a second here. Answer these questions 3. And that was the solution to getting him on our side, was just press him harder.
No, not really. I was like, well, they're just never going to do it doesn't make sense that he just doesn't,
Yeah. We should have just moved on, but Leonardo being Leonardo.
But
Legitimate question.
my favorite thing is that you went, hold on, why are you not frozen? And then you immediately did not ask the frog that.
I had forgotten.
The frog wasn't a total jerk at front.
The frog wasn't hostile. But you're right.
The frog is a quasit, not a frog.
You're
Fine,
absolutely
he wasn't
right.
A jerk. You can be
yeah,
a closet
he
and
was-
not be a jerk.
He was fine towards us.
So apparently Zabelna has an extra planar library, and it protected the people inside from the thing. And her little frog closet thing was in there talking to the librarian and his pet hunchback spider.
Okay, sure.
That would have made that NPC would have made McDohl incredibly uncomfortable, because you go in there and there's a librarian. Oh, the librarian has a hunchback, but it's not a hunchback. It's just a giant spider he keeps on his back.
Is the spider
It's his friend.
Is the spider moist?
The spider is awakened.
Oh, F,
that-
no.
Oh, by the way, that fountain. Remember the fountain in the garden?
Yeah.
What happened if
If you
we
had-
drank from it?
If you had drank from it, you would have. So any animals that drink from it benefit from an awaken spell as long as they're in Zabelna's guard on the grounds of Zabelna's castle. Any humanoids that drink from it,
Feeble-minded until they leave.
no, they're just feeble-minded.
Oh.
It just it sets your intellect to 3
I cannot believe how fortunate.
until
I rolled
pure-
a dice for Leonardo to should he drink from it? And I legitimately was like, oh, okay, no.
Those flowers are perfectly benign. You when you're holding them, you gain resistance to the element that they represent.
The fire one would have been nice for Mrs. Fitzbiggins, but
Other than that, I can't think of any other. Anybody have any other pressing questions about anything that happened?
No, I'm going to sit down and read this book at some point.
I'm probably just going to go and buy the book now that I've completed the adventure.
we've completed the speed run of the adventure. Now you can do the adventure proper.
Yeah,
I
any
think-
percent completed
for
in
hundo.
7
Yeah.
sessions.
I think
Yeah,
we
yeah,
actually.
we'll go for the hundo. It's in the future.
I think we hit all of the high notes of the adventure. The only things I didn't run was downfall, and then the random encounters.
I think
Right.
we technically did any percent all bosses.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
We did do 80% all bosses, yes.
Oh,
Like-
okay, no, okay. So we skipped the League of Malevolence and then the 2 hags in the castle. So I don't know
They're just
if we
mini
could call it
bosses.
all bosses. But
There's a really cool clip you can do to get into the castle, but there's no need to. You just walk in the side door, and
Right.
everything's right there.
That's like seriously, I do not like the design of that dungeon. I don't even know how you would fix that.
I don't think you have to. I think it's fine the way it is. I think you're being too
Eh.
hard on the dungeon.
Yeah, no, that absolutely is in the spirit of the dungeon, yes.
The only part of the adventure that had me rolling my eyes was the silly riddle from last week, where I'm like, well, I just know the answer to this.
What about the silly riddle on the carousel?
Which one was that?
The one where you had to it was like you had to
I
fill
got
in the
stuck.
you had to fill in the letters on the proverbs.
Oh, right.
Oh,
I couldn't
yeah,
get
yeah.
from Stitch to 9. I was stuck at time, and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, riddles are just bad in general.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to be
They're just-
simple.
they're just bad.
They have
Look.
to be simple.
look, my like puzzle solving capabilities stop at Wordle.
Likewise.
Like Brickroad was like convinced that like this right here was bad, but it's just a matter like if it goes all the way up or down, then Witch and Light request to see you. So it's just another way to. There's a bunch of like fail safes in Chapter 1 to make sure you get into Prismere.
We did fill this at the end, didn't we?
No.
Oh,
No?
we got close, but
I
never
thought we
actually
inadvertently
swung
did it,
it one
'cause-
way or the other.
Yeah.
We were trying to keep it neutral, but then, like, at the end, it just moved in that
No,
direction.
no. Mrs. Fitzbiggins was trying to keep it neutral. I was trying to raise it.
I was definitely
No,
trying to keep it in the middle.
One thing that I did kind of drop the ball on, and I just decided I was like, after I didn't do it in session 2, I was like, well, I'm just not going to do it. If you win the crown of the Witchlight Monarch, that all the NPCs in Prismere are supposed to call you Your Majesty. So,
Oh, why didn't you do that?
'Cause
Leonardo would
I
have
forgot.
probably just found that odd, actually.
I forgot to
You
do it.
should have done that.
Liz would have loved that, but Leonardo would probably have just been like, yes, of course.
So, I did
You should have
like
absolutely done that.
I did cheat Raz a little bit on that, but
Yeah, you took my crown away, but I got to keep the buff, which I did abuse a lot, actually.
I mean, they tell you that you don't get to keep. It's a thing they say you don't get to keep the crown.
Oh, I mean, with Leonardo and his terrible fashion sense, it would have been the perfect accoutrement. Like, he looks like a bum wearing this golden glittering crown. Like, come on.
So that was Witchlight. I hope everybody had fun.
Yeah,
Great
thank you
time.
very much.
We
for
haven't
Had a
taken-
running it.
wonderful time.
I would like
Uh,
to give Brickroad the insanity blip for that final stunt. Oh.
It wasn't insane. It was a perfectly rational plan, and not only did it work, it's also canonized by the book. I looked it up. It's one of the 3
Yeah,
given
it was
solutions.
It was the first solution.
It was the second. The first
Oh,
was
okay.
no. It was, what was the first? I don't remember, and I put the book away.
Oh, okay. I do have one more question. What would have happened? Like, I'm convinced that there would be some negative repercussions if we had broken the cauldron.
Yes, Zabilna. I mean, Zabilna is mad at you, and she doesn't offer
that's
the
not
wish.
great.
She uses the wish that she would have offered you to fix her cauldron, and you get nothing. She says thank you and sends you on your way.
She pulls a Matoya.
She basically just says thank you. Now get out of my castle.
Because
In
we're
one of
all
the rooms, so like, like one of the things in the rooms, there's like a whole bunch of different stuff in like the optional rooms that you didn't go to that can affect her mood. Like there's a room you walk in, it's flies everywhere. It's full of like baby bassinets, and each one is this little like demon baby, and then like on the front of it has like all that, like it has like envy and it's like Zabilna has taken all of her negative emotions and like crystallized them into these little demon babies, and leaves them in this nursery. And if you kill the demon babies, then she gets those negative emotions back, which makes her a lot more sour to deal with.
Ah,
So just
That's
lots
kind
of
of cool. I like that.
lots of stuff like that that doesn't come into play because like everything you need is on the first floor of the castle on the side there.
Except the true name of Zybilna, unless you've already figured out all the context clues.
No, the frog tells you the true name.
Heck, the frog was
Yeah.
on the third floor.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Technically. But you had to use the beanstalk on the first floor to get there.
Right.
That was real fortunate to just go straight there.
I mean, there's only 3 entrances, and 2 of them don't go anywhere. Well, that's not true. The one on the other side, it's like where the carriages come in, and it does go off over on the other side.
That's better odds than the Tomb of Horrors, which has 3 entrances and 2 of them just kill you.
Yeah.
But I have nothing else to add. Maybe I'll do this again in the future. I actually would love to run Witchlight again in the future if I can wrangle some people in real life to do it. But maybe next time we go on break, maybe I'll run Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, which has you going down.
Oh, I so wanted to play that.
All right.
Well, so next week we will take some of these dudes back to Ravenloft. We've had enough fun and whimsy, and now it's time to go back to despair
Depression.
and horror.
We're
and
done with the
sadness.
domains of we're done with the domains of delight. It's time to go back to the domains of dread.
Right. Now, before you end the session, I do want to just say thank you for having me at your table, both Brickroad and Treble. And
Well, the check's
I
in
hope
the
to
mail, right?
Yeah, no, I got it. Sign on delivery, just whatever, right? And I guess I will depart. So
Thanks for playing, Razanir. It was nice having both of you.
Yeah,
Much.
yeah. Would
No,
love to
I
play
was-
with you
I
again
enjoyed it.
sometime.
I enjoyed it.
All right, now everybody go away.
goodbye.